Hello there. Welcome everybody to my next free training, which is, well, first is I want you to meet one of our coaches, which is Coach Tiffany, I'm going to say it incorrectly, Thoen. Can you hear me, Tiffany? Oh, there might be, can you hear me, Tiffany?
We're having a little bit of a.
Is there a slight delay? Just bear with us while we deal with this technical issue. Can you hear me? Hmm. Can you hear me, Tiffany?
Everything was going so well.
I know I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Sorry, guys, if you're watching this live, we just have a slight technical issue. Tiffany's all the way in Arizona. Colleen can hear us, but Tiffany can't hear me. That's the problem. Tiffany, we can hear you. Hello. Tiffany. Okay, I don't want to. Talk. We can hear. Okay. Hi, Colleen.
Okay, so
Oh, we can hear
Veronica says
you.
that
We
she
can
can
hear
hear
you.
me. I can't hear her for some reason. But hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here today and really excited to be working with Veronica in her group. I think what Veronica's doing is so incredible and so needed. I remember when I first got sober, just feeling so lost and unsure of what was right for me and what I needed. And now I love that there's so much more support available, and incredible people like Veronica are leading the way. So thank you very much. Unfortunately, I won't be able to hear Veronica's questions. So I know we talked about introducing myself and about why diets don't work and why people struggle with food in recovery. So let me introduce myself. I'm Coach Tiffany Thoen, and I am a nurse and an intuitive eating coach. So I've been trained and certified as an intuitive eating coach. And then I also have coaching training under my nursing license. And I'm also a person in recovery. So this is why I'm so excited to be participating in this group, because it's kind of an intersection of all these areas of my life. And so I'm someone who, struggled with food and then kind of flipped that into with substances and alcohol, got sober at a really young age, and continued, then kind of like flipped back to struggling with food and continued to struggle with food all throughout my 20s and 30s. And now I'm happy to say that I found freedom from that. So what happened for me is that, I dieted, kind of yo-yo dieted off and on. I watched my mom do that. When I first got sober, I drank a lot of Mountain Dew, smoked a lot of cigarettes, ate a lot of fast food. I really didn't know how to feed myself well at that point in my life. And, when I quit smoking, I put on some weight. So it just kind of like always was trying to control food and struggling with it. And then as I became a nurse, I started eating more for health, but I would kind of go on these healthy diets and then fall off the wagon and eat in a way that felt really out of control. I definitely identified as an emotional overeater. And then I got really sick. And so I doubled down my efforts in, eating healthy, restrictive eating. And while eating, more kind of nutrient-dense foods and less processed foods did help with my health conditions. I would have my binge episodes got even more extreme, and I felt like my relationship with food was really spiraling out of control. And so finally, fortunately, I got some support and I found intuitive eating. And in intuitive eating, I found freedom from all of that stress and control issues and, binging and emotional eating and all of that. So it was really powerful for me. And I was already doing coaching work under my nursing license and really started to hear from all of these people about how much food had been a challenge for them and how they were, tired of spending all of this mental and emotional energy struggling with food. And so at that point, I decided to get certified in intuitive in my coaching practice. I also started to notice how much that paired food struggles paired with people who are in recovery as well. And so I'll talk a little bit about why that is. So for people in recovery, and Veronica, if you guys have questions, just shoot me. I'll answer them because I can't see the Facebook group. So I want to make sure I answer any questions that might come up. But of course, we're going to be doing the coaching. So, you'll have an opportunity to have live Q&A time with me later this month and then for the next 2 months as well. So I'm looking forward to that time. So for people who have struggled with substance use, alcohol use, other types of addictions, one of the things that is really common is that we often have low dopamine tone, low serotonin, these neurotransmitters that really keep us in a kind of pleasant, happy state, right? We also tend to have a higher instance of childhood adverse experiences and other traumas and unhealed wounds. So even the experience of going through substance use disorder, alcohol use disorder, even those experiences can often be very traumatic. And there are other, traumas that can come up or happen because we tend to be a higher risk, more at risk population. So we come into recovery and we're trying to take away the thing that we've used as a crutch, right? and it puts us in this state of, just really, needing to soothe because we're taking away the thing that we've been using to soothe with. And so oftentimes we're finding that, we feel low, we feel stressed, we feel kind of this like agitation, right? Like our nervous system is stressed out. We're kind of in that fight or flight mode a lot. And then how to deal with that? And with the neurotransmitter piece that I mentioned, we're looking for kind of those bursts of dopamine. And there are a lot of things that can give us those bursts of dopamine, right? I mean, laughter does that. Exercise does that. Babies, right? Seeing babies a lot of times, like holding a baby can give us positive feel-good hormones. So there's all of these things that help increase the feel-good hormones. But when we have low dopamine tone or low level of serotonin, we are kind of desperately trying to reach out for them. And food is just one of the easier ways to get that need met, right? It's soothing, it's comforting. It does give us a burst of dopamine oftentimes. Actually, I just read a study that chewing, just the act of chewing, increases serotonin production. So there are a lot of physiological reasons why food fits the bill for that soothing. And so what do we do about a thing like that? Well, oftentimes what we need is other things that help us soothe as well, right? We need to build our toolbox. And we also need to address the underlying traumas, the underlying kind of shame and other things that we're wanting to avoid, right? That are uncomfortable feelings. And that requires things like boundaries, right? So this is one of the reasons I love Veronica's program, because putting boundaries in place can help to prevent us from feeling a lot of those stressors, right? They can help us to have more balanced relationships. And working through shame, I know that's something that Veronica talks about, is something that, helps reduce all of those things that cause us to need to soothe. So this is one of the things that we work on in intuitive eating. We work on honoring our emotions without using food. We also work on rejecting diet culture. we work on really starting to get more in touch and in tune with our body, what our body wants and needs. So things like hunger and fullness signals, things like, just, I'm starting to feel that stressed feeling, right? Is there something I can do? Do I need to take a break? Can I go for a walk? All things. One of the principles is also getting gentle, feel good movement in our lives and honoring our bodies using gentle nutrition. So intuitive eating is really a holistic way of addressing our relationship with food and our bodies. And for me, like I have mentioned, it has been just life-changing. I found so much freedom in intuitive eating. I no longer have to count anything, measure anything. I don't weigh myself. I rely on listening to my body and honoring my body's needs. So for people in recovery, it can be really good to have support around this because, as I mentioned, we're coming in, we're super stressed out, right? We've also taken away the thing that we've used to numb out. So we're kind of like unthawing. And if you think about like when you're super cold and you come into the house, it doesn't always feel great immediately, right? Like your fingers kind of have this like tingly, painful, burny sensation. Or like if you've been sitting on your foot and, your foot falls asleep and you try to walk around like tingly, painful, right? So kind of like an waking up when we're first coming into recovery. And oftentimes, people will use food to soothe. And that's not something that we want to judge. It's not a bad thing. But I know that for most people, at some point, it becomes really painful because, obsessing about food, struggling with food, trying to control or manage food intake, the shame that comes with eating in a way that feels out of control, and also, a lot of times there's weight gain with that, so there's all of these things that can make us feel really bad about our relationship with food externally and internally. And so we don't want that relationship to become something that feels like a replacement for alcohol, then we just feel bad about, right? But at the same time, it is normal, right, for people to eat more sugar or carbs or candy or whatever it is. It is newly in recovery, and we want to build up all of these tools so that we can have a great relationship with our body. And I feel like in recovery, we actually have more potential for that because we are doing so many other things to care for ourselves. We are trying to learn how to take care of ourselves and honor our needs and have positive relationships. And so it can really be a beautiful marriage of recovery principles and, wanting to make positive change in our life and then having this really beautiful relationship with food. So I feel like I've been talking and talking, but we are only 15 minutes in. So I wanted to go back to that concept of, why diets don't work. And that way, we can kind of shift into intuitive eating more when we jump on the coaching calls. So diets don't work because of several things. One, when we restrict food, we actually have an increased desire for those foods. So there's several reasons. One, we upregulate. So sugar actually tastes better when you say, I'm not going to eat sugar, and you say you don't eat it for a month. When you do eat it, it actually does taste better. Also, if we restrict calories, we're not getting enough food. Our body thinks that we're going into a famine mode, and our metabolism actually slows down. We lose muscle mass as well, and our hunger signals go up and our fullness signals go down. So our body's going to be saying, I'm really hungry, I really need food, right? And then we're going to eat beyond fullness because our fullness signals aren't going to kick in because our body wants to override those signals so that we ensure we're getting enough to eat. And then on top of all that, able to metabolize as much food as we used to be able to, and our muscle mass goes down. So we're actually going to gain weight in addition to all of that. So when you diet and you restrict, it actually has we have an increased desire for food physiologically. And then when we break that restraint, right, then we're going to be either right back where we were to begin with, or we're going to have to continue restricting forever. So that's one of the biggest reasons that diets don't work. And we've actually known this since the 40s, but they also don't work because they're an external locus of control, right? So it's an external, like a should and a shouldn't, and is this on my diet? Am I allowed to have this? Instead of an internal, like checking in with our body. So, one example might be that avocados, like everybody thinks avocados are amazing, and I love them. I think they're amazing. But some people have a histamine problem. And if you have a histamine problem, avocado can actually increase histamine production. And so it might not be the best thing for you, right? Like you might eat it and it might make you feel bad. Other examples, things like sugar. Some people choose sugar. I personally get a headache when I eat sugar. So, I have to listen to my body, right? So really, intuitive eating is about rejecting all of the diet culture ideas, the shoulds and shouldn'ts around food. We call those the food police. And also letting go of the idea that our body needs to look a certain way, and instead shifting to how does our body feel? How does it feel when I eat that food? How does it feel when I eat in this way? How does it feel to have this kind of relationship with food? Even something as simple as clean your plate, right? Like that old wiring and that mentality. If you're not needing that much food, but you're always cleaning your plate, you're eating beyond fullness. Your body has to then figure out how to digest that food and what to do with it. I feel like I've been kind of jumping, but I wanted to weave through some of these concepts of intuitive eating to give you a good picture of what intuitive eating is, how intuitive eating can really, heal our relationship with food and our bodies, and how if we're in recovery, not only is it really important to address our relationship with food because we have an increased risk of struggling with food, which adds to our shame and adds to our isolation, right? It can be really problematic. But also we have the opportunity for it to be a really beautiful tool that we use in our recovery, becoming even more connected to our body. And we can kind of share, right? We can use the tools that we're using in other areas of our recovery. And the more we build up all of those tools and practice them in every area of our life, the more we're going to be able to have a really solid and wonderful experience of recovery in our lives. So I'm wondering if there's any questions from anyone. I'm hoping that you can still hear me. I don't mind just talking into the video camera here, but I do look forward to when we do the live coaching and I can interact with you. And so Veronica's saying she's going to say a few things, and then feel free to reach out to me. I'll be in the Facebook group, and I so look forward to our coaching time together.
So this is so funny because Tiffany can't, you guys can hear me, but Tiffany can't hear me. So I'm messaging her. Coach Tiffany is one of the coaches who is in the Soberful Life program. Thank you, Colleen. It's so nice. Colleen keeps saying she can hear us. But Tiffany can't hear me. That's the strangest thing. So the Soberful Life program is open for enrollment. Coach Tiffany will be teaching, she will be having a monthly coaching session. So what that means is every month, if food and sugar are one of the issues that you really struggle with, and I know there's so many of you who do, Coach Tiffany you can come along every month, get in front of Tiffany. She's going to do some teaching every month around intuitive eating, how to apply that to your life. And then she will take questions and help and coach you into how to begin to apply this to your life. Now, that's a whole hour of coaching there, and you get that for $23.99 a month, plus all the other stuff. So I do a monthly coaching on empowering habits. Empowering habits is really the stuff that anchors your sobriety. It's the work. When people keep saying you have to do the work, and I hear people say, well, what is the work? What is the work? It's journaling, but it's journaling in a very, very specific way so that you can change how you respond to what's happening to you and change how you show up in life. Because we have to change how we show up in life in order to be sustainably sober, and in order to be sober and to be happy and all that kind of stuff. We have to change how we show up in life. So I do a monthly empowering coaching habit session where we can discuss different things you're struggling with, and I can help you find ways to journal to be able to shift your perspective and how you deal with that. We also have a monthly recovery group where you can again show up in front of me or Chip, and we will just help you with whatever you're struggling with. We also have a monthly Q&A session where you can also ask us questions about anything. And on top of that, there is workshops on various different subjects every week. We have guest experts come in. So there's probably 6 or 7 hours of new content every single month for $24. I know you spent that trying to fix yourself on drinking and sugar and all that kind of stuff. So it's an incredible deal. You also, on top of that, get access to our library of content. So all of the stuff that we've already done on boundaries, on Tiffany did a series of workshops for us last year. So there's already 4-hour-long workshops on intuitive eating that you can access the minute you join. But then you can access all the other stuff. There's stuff on relationships, there's stuff on rebuilding trust, there's stuff on boundaries, how to have boundaries with your family, codependency, there's stuff on the grief process. I mean, there's just tons and tons of content. So you can dig into whatever you're struggling with right now, wherever you are in your sober journey. And we have lots of people from trying to get sober who have just a few, or people who have a few days, or people who are more in long-term sobriety. You get, it's really a phenomenal support that Chip and I really kind of shape and lead. I have a quick question here from Robin. How does one stop rewarding oneself with junk food because one didn't drink? That's a big problem for many of us in early recovery or who were sober a long time. Is eating candy because at least it's not alcohol? You know, Robin, that would be a great question to take to Tiffany if you join Soberful Life. That's really to do, the whole idea of rewarding ourselves with food and alcohol is really a mindset shift. It's really something that we just have to shift our mindsets, and that's what we coach people to do. We have those tools. I was exactly the same. When I got sober, I was maybe about a year, and I had this kind of horrifying realization that I was using sugar and binge food, just junk food really, in the same way that I used to use alcohol. So when I had all these feelings come up that I couldn't cope with, I didn't drink, but my brain was going, what can I eat? What can I eat? What can I eat? And I had this realization one day, oh my gosh, I'm using food and sugar like I used to use alcohol. I have a problem here and I need to look at it. And I got some help. So that's kind of the stuff that we're offering. It's a mindset shift, Robin. You have to deal with the feelings that are motivating you to behave in that way. So my invitation for you today is, if you are the 25th person to join Soberful Life today, and everything's time stamped so I can tell who joins. It's almost 12:30 on the East Coast here. So if you're the 25th person today, I am going to pay for you to have a free session with Coach Tiffany. If you are the 25th person to join today. So the link will be in the comment section as soon as this video is stopped. You can find it if you're on Facebook right now, which you should be if you're watching this. There's a lot of posts with the link to join Soberful Life, but I will put it in the comment section underneath this video. And you can cancel anytime, so there's no risk. We do hope you'll join us. This is really an investment in your personal development. That's what Chip and I and Tiffany really do. It's not quick fixes. It's about growth. It's about expansion, and it's about growth into the person that you really want to be, and being part of a community and program that will support you in that at a really, really affordable price. So even though she can't hear me, I'm going to thank Coach Tiffany so much for showing up today and doing her piece there. We do hope you'll join Soberful Life. If you have questions, let me know. Check out the rest of the free training that's going on. But if you want to have a free session with Tiffany, be the 25th person to join today. Do that now, because our places, that goes really quickly. And join us for the rest of the training. Sorry about all of the technical problems. I think you're probably used to it by now, and we will see you soon. Bye.